want you to hear how I want to introduce our next guest here. I want you to hear the backdrop. Last week in Massachusetts, Democrats there in the State House and the Senate announced that they had come to an agreement on radical legislation, friends, that would give legal cover to abortionists from lawsuits in other states. And this legislation would also help these abortionists conceal their identities when they're shipping abortion drugs into pro-life states. And to make matters worse, as if that were not bad enough, it would also require Massachusetts hospital to perform so-called emergency abortions. I mean, this is truly just disturbing stuff. And quite frankly, it's legislation like this that pro-life state attorney generals are calling on Congress to take action. And here now to discuss this is one of those attorney generals from Arkansas, Tim Griffin. Attorney General Griffin, welcome to Washington Watch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And so I just laid out what's happening in Massachusetts. So give me your reaction to this Massachusetts bill that, frankly, the governor there is expected to sign into law.
Well, it's more of the same, and some of the predicate is really false. So I've got the article here where the governor says that this is all about making sure that people in Massachusetts are getting the health care that they need. Well, the letter that we wrote Congress regarding the shield laws and this Massachusetts law does some of what we've been concerned about. But that letter that the AG signed to Congress is not about Arkansans, the Arkansas AG or another state's AG reaching into a state regarding their policy or their law. It's about states like Arkansas enforcing our own laws and not being hampered from that. And here's the backdrop. As a general matter, law enforcement, AGs, state police, prosecutors, federal, state, across the country, red state, blue state, generally speaking, we work together. We work cooperatively. If there's a crime in one state and another state needs access to records or whatever, there's all sorts of cooperation, collaboration. What's happening here is an exception to that general rule. So what they're trying to do is, as you mentioned, hide the identity of some of the people who are encouraging Arkansans, people that live in my state, to break our law, right? There's also, in some of these states, New York's another one, there is an attempt to put up roadblocks to cooperation. For example, we may want to issue a subpoena in another state, and what these shield laws do is they say, we're not going to help. We're not going to help Arkansas reach out and enforce their laws the way you normally would, whether it be a consumer issue, which is usually a civil issue, or whether it be a criminal issue, we normally would get that cooperation. But these shield laws and these policies of these left-wing governors and legislatures in these states are basically saying, on this issue, on the sanctity of life, we are not going to cooperate with people like me in getting me information and allowing me to subpoena records or what have you. And so I actually am an advocate for the states being in charge of the abortion issue, the Dobbs case. But this is not about that. This is about the federal government putting a law in place that will enable states to enforce their own laws regarding their citizens. And
absolutely.
So,
let me ask you this. We've only got about a minute or so left. There's no question that what you bring up, there is a role for the federal government to get involved in this, in spite of the fact that we're being told it's a state issue, it's a state issue. There's a role here for federal government. What is your response to these abortion doctors who claim that they're doing a public service by defying the law? We've only got less than a minute.
Well, look, we know that abortion pills are not safe and effective. We also know that the fact that they're admitting violating the law in the same sentence where they say they're doing a public service, I think speaks for itself. As I said, it is very routine for states to enforce their laws and to work with other states when necessary to enable that enforcement. And in this case, these states are so anti-life, are so pro-abortion, that they want to set all of that cooperation aside and ensure that their doctors or others can market abortion and conduct abortion.
Thank you so much. Attorney General Tim Griffin of Arkansas, well done, sir. Thank you for standing strong, and thank you for joining us today on Washington Watch.